Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Gus and Dave Sports Podcast. Y'all know the deal. And today we have a very special guest. He's coming from Bowling Green, Kentucky. He attended Western Kentucky University as a defensive back, earning all freshman selection. His two interceptions his freshman year, one sack, a two-time All-State, All-Sun Belt Conference player. He rushed the ball for negative 10 yards. Coach, we're going to have to talk about that later.
Yeah.
But he has had many different coaching stops along his way, and he is now your Coastal Carolina head football coach, Coach Ryan Beard.
Guys, thanks for having me.
No problem.
Coach, tell us about that rush real quick.
We gotta talk through this, man. That I gotta get rid of that somehow because I didn't even know they keep this stat. So my best friend in high school was an all-state kicker, and we went together to Western Kentucky, and the other specialists were trying to hold for him. And finally, like his sophomore year, he was like, I'm not kicking unless Beard holds. So I was, I could do it. I was starting safety, and I was like, well, I'll just rotate back in. Started holding, and just a awful snap. And I try to handle it, bobbles it, and I'm trying to do anything I can. I'm running around out there like a chicken with my head cut off, screaming, fire, 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 fire. I got nobody open, and I get absolutely smoked from the blind side. So that was my one and only rush in college football. And it's amazing, Dave, that you wanted to start with that after you said all of the great accolades. You wanted to start with talking about the negative 10 rush. Gus, what's that all about?
I can we brought up some highlights, and I have a trivia question for you. I want you to jog your memory. You were playing University of Louisiana in 2011. Ball comes in the end zone. You said, I got to go get that. You hit the man, ball gets jarred loose. Who intercepts the ball on your team?
Darius Brooks.
Oh, he knows his history.
Coach he knows.
100%. Good friend of mine. Darius is a great guy. We were in a nice soft cover too. Get off the hash, show some range. I was able to get up and under the ball, and let's go, man. Tops football.
That is awesome. That is a great memory, Coach.
But if you want to just give a little introduction about yourself for the viewers that might not know too much about you, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the guy said, my name is Ryan Beard. I'm fortunate enough to be the head coach here at Coastal Carolina. Been a crazy kind of, last 15, 16 years in the profession, but we can go back before that. I'm from Bowling Green, Kentucky. Got multiple degrees from Western Kentucky. Had a pretty good career there. Just like everybody thought you were going to go be a pro baller, and got shoulder just totally destroyed versus LSU. So that was no longer an option. Slept in my bed and felt sorry for myself for about 2 weeks. And I was like, all right, it's time to get yourself up and go figure it out. Went into Willie Taggart's office, who was the head coach at the time, and basically begged for a GA job. But I guess I didn't show enough as a 4-year starter at Western Kentucky. He said I should volunteer for a few months first to see if I really like it. So I volunteered for about 6 months at Western Kentucky, which is the place I was all conference, got 2 degrees, still needed to see a little bit more. So I was in there slinging sandwiches in the weight room, cleaning some dust off that. It was really good. When he went to South Florida, Bobby Petrino came to Western Kentucky, got on with Bobby, finished GA in there, went to Louisville with Coach Petrino, had a good career there. And then 2018, went to Central Michigan with Jim McElwain. Along the way, I was at Western Kentucky with Jeff Braun. We've had a bunch of stops. Won a Sun Belt Conference USA championship with him. Became the defensive coordinator at Missouri State after Central. We completely turned a hopeless program around, man. It was one of those things that I got to be honest with you, Gus, Dave. First time we stepped on campus at Missouri State, it was almost eerie. No one was wearing football stuff. Our own players didn't need, were too embarrassed to wear football gear. And we turned the whole program around, set some defensive records. I was able to become the head coach there at 33 years old. Was the head coach there for the last few years. We went 4-7 my first year, 8-4, 7-5. We were able to take that group, finish top in the conference, and go to our first ever bowl game with basically an FCS roster. So I'm proud of what we did there, and I'm unbelievably humbled to be the head coach here at Coastal Carolina. The one thing about this place is I always talk about it in every interview I do. It's about the people. The reason we chose to come here to Coastal, there were a few other jobs we were looking at, just the vertical alignment. from the president to the AD to what what they want the head coach to look like. You look at Chance Miller, and he's aggressive, man. He knows what he wants. He's got a vision of excellence that he wants this program to look like, and not just football, but he's dying to have a winner in football. And that's my goal, is to give him and everyone else, the administration and the fans, just that. We want to put a high quality product on the field. Now, the one thing about me you need to know 100%, which is most important, my family. I have a wonderful, beautiful wife named Katie. I got 4 beautiful babies, and that is the main thing in my life. That and Jesus. Other than that, I like football.
There we go.
Awesome. Congratulations on all your success. Um, but I was just gonna, kind of mention why Coastal. Was it the area? Was it the people? But you obviously just answered that. It was everybody, the entire community. Because I know when we first got to Coastal in 2021, we were coming off a high, undefeated season with Grayson McCall, Isaiah Likely, all those guys. But yeah, is there any more you'd like to add on to why Coastal?
No, I think it's a culmination of all the things you just mentioned. I mean, I really do. And I think one thing that head coaches need to look at more, if they're not already looking at it, is where do you fit personality wise? Like, do you fit with the culture of the area? And I think we fit it perfectly. We're a blue collar group. We know what's matter. We have a foundation in things that are more important than football. We want to, create good men for this local community. And Conway is a tight knit community. And one cool thing that when I was looking into it is when the Chanticleers football program is really rocking, that this place is all about it. This place wants to win. They're dying to have a great brand of football. And that really showed up. Once we got here on campus and my family and I were venturing out, we're foodies, man. We love to eat and drink good stuff. So we went out, and everyone you see has the teal on, and they're saying, Coach Beard, man, welcome to you and your family. And, I hope you enjoy it. But when some people say that, they don't really mean it. The people here in Conway, Myrtle Beach area, they genuinely mean it. They love it here. They're proud of this university. And I just think there's a lot of great things to come.
That's awesome. That honestly gets me fired up because I know obviously when me and Dave were down there, we tried to get to every football game, every baseball game, any athletic event. We tried to get there, and we tried to instill that, in our friends and people in our classes and stuff like that. But let's move on to the team and the actual football program we have going on right now. What was the recruiting and transfer portal class like this year, and what was that process like for you coming into a new organization?
Sure, it was an interesting transition simply because I was here in the head coach's office while the guys they had a super late bowl game. So the old staff as well as every single player on the roster is here training for like 2 weeks, and they're like who is this guy in the head coach's office that's just kind of here but not here? And hats off to those guys that were in the building when I was still here, because they were true professionals. That's a tough thing to go through. And if any of them watch this, I want them to know how highly I think of the way they handled it and the way they coached hard in the bowl game. And that's a testament to who they are as people. So hats off to those guys. But as I kind of watched our roster and watched us practice and went through some mental gymnastics of what we needed to do, I don't know if last year was a super talent issue. I think that there was a lot of internal things that we needed to fix. Personality wise is one of them. So there were about 40 departures from our university, whether that's on their end, on our end, it doesn't matter. But we were able to kind of purge this roster of people that didn't fit us, didn't fit our vision, and we were being able almost to start over with the foundation of the guys that we wanted to keep. Because one thing, Gus, everybody talks about is all the transfers we brought in and how talented they are. I think we did a really nice job of keeping the foundational pieces here. Like Ebe was a great keep, Savon at linebacker, Wyatt Gideon. There's a bunch. Robbie Washington, Dom Nicely. Those types of guys that were kind of I would say the glue. We were able to keep those guys too. And then one thing we've prided ourselves on since I've been coaching, period, is the ability to recruit and find great players that fit our scheme. And again, I'm trying not to I have a bad poker face. I love the team. I think we've got some really good pieces. I think we're big, long, and athletic. And I think that we've come out of spring a much better football team.
For sure. going off that, coach, what is kind of your coaching style? I see you reiterate every single day of practice. It's all of our social media pages, out hit, out hustle. Why don't you give us a little bit what's that's all about?
Yeah, out hit, out hustle, Dave, is a way of life, man. It's the relentless pursuit of excellence in everything that you do. I think that if you attack each and every day with that mindset, you have no choice but to be great. It's, you want to have the best podcast in the country. You want to be the best boyfriend or husband, whatever you are at the time. You want to do that. And to do that, you have to outwork your yesterday, right? You have to make sure you're doing something to find that percent. And everybody talks about get 1% better. I'm greedy, man. I don't think you can put a cap on it. Maybe you get 50% better this day or, however many percent. We fight for the percent each and every day. And I think that just spills over to our players. It's an infectious confidence of, I want to get the most out of my life. And I want our players to get the most out of their life because we are here for a very finite amount of time and you only get to play college football for a short amount of time. So why not be at your very best every single day? And it's my job to push them to be that. I think that, you can be hard on them, but there's always going to be a sense of joy that, yeah, Coach Beard was, on you pretty good today, but it's because he loves you and wants the best for you. Discipline is biblical, man. If you can't sit here and me and you can't have a genuine conversation and tell each other the truth as men, I don't deserve to be in the chair, So that's basically me summed up. A lot of coaches have these cool, like, I wish I had a cool story about me or some crazy journey. Faith family football is what you get with me. Now, I do like to fish every now and then, but other than that, I'm a football guy.
That's pretty awesome. This kind of mentality kind of reminds me of like a Nick Saban. He was always known for, being kind of an ass when it came to a coach, but it was because he loved his players. He wanted perfection. He wanted to go out and, have a, certain game plan. He wanted it each and every Saturday. And, if that took being mean, even Michael Jordan was the same way with his teammates when they won all those championships back in the 90s. But is there anybody like a Nick Saban or even, an NFL coach that, you look up to and try to like follow their kind of style of coaching?
Yeah, I look up to a bunch of coaches, and I'm kind of a football junkie where I like to go and look at the guys that I'm kind of following at the moment and just kind of watch their interviews. I know that sounds maybe a little weird, but, see their mannerisms, see how they handle tough questions, because I believe that we should be life learners. I believe that you can never stop getting better or somebody's going to catch you, man. I just, you cannot sit still. You have to keep going. Now, talk about guys specifically. I think one thing is important to mention why I'm in this seat is a lot of my mentors that I actually got to work with, like the Jeff Brom, who just got a great new contract at the University of Louisville. Jim McElwain was SEC Coach of the Year at Florida. Bobby Petrino has one of the highest head coaches winning percentages in the country. Those guys really poured into me, and I made it very clear when I was a young coach. They probably didn't. They were like, "Who the hell does this guy think he is?" And I was like, "I'm going to be a head coach." I was like, "I need you to tell me anything and everything I can do to achieve this goal, and I will do it." And they were like, "Okay." So again, I think more of it is just kind of the tree that I've been able to be a part of and the people that I've been able to attach myself to. And then again, it's fun keeping in contact with guys like Mike McDonald, just won a Super Bowl championship. We connected when he was a quality control guy at the University of Georgia, and we've talked ever since, been friends, which is always cool. Those types of stories in football are kind of, that's the good stuff.
You mentioned like your coaching tree, coaching connections. What like factors into you bringing in your staff for Coastal Carolina? Is it a lot of the guys that you've been under or you've had under you, or how do you go? How do you attack that?
Yeah, I talk to our guys all the time about being loyal. And I think the best way to, if you say you're loyal, show me how you're loyal. Well, I brought most of my staff from Missouri State, guys that have been with me, guys that I trust. And I did that simply because who else are you going to trust when the heat is on than someone that was making sandwiches with you back at, Missouri State and going door to door trying to raise money for a dying football program? I want guys in the foxhole with me that I know how they will react to pressure. When I got this job, the agents are calling, everybody's calling about, thinking about hiring this guy, thinking about hiring that guy. Well, I don't know you. I've never even been around you my entire life. I'm going to stick with the guys I know that believe in trust and loyalty and know that, you know, I like Gus mentioned it. Yes, it's joy here, but we have a pretty high standard and we demand excellence from not only our players but our staff. And I knew guys that could respond to that as well. So again, it's just a good mix of guys that were with us at Missouri State, and then adding Ronnie Fouch from Arkansas was a great get. Nelson Fishback is the special teams coordinator from New Mexico State. Everett Sands gives us some veteran wisdom from the Citadel. He's a Conway guy. His parents live right down the street. And it was good to meet up with Scott Aligo as well. He's our GM. He's done a nice job. Proud to have him with us. So I think we got a really good staff here in Conway at the moment.
For sure. Coach Sands definitely gets me fired up when I wake up in the morning and I see
Wakey,
the
wakey.
yeah, I see that. It gets me fired up.
But going off of, you obviously have had a lot of experience in the college and football world throughout your life, and you've seen both sides, NIL, not having NIL in college football. What do you think? What is your opinion on that, first of all? Do you like it? Do you not like it? What do you think?
Yeah, and this is kind of a cheap answer, Gus, but I'm gonna answer as honestly as possible.
Yeah.
Whether me, you, and Dave like it or not, it doesn't matter. We have to adapt, and overcome.
Yeah.
I think it's the situation that we're in. I think it's good that the players are able to create some wealth and get some money in their pocket. I think that's a good thing. I think that where we kind of lost our way is we proverbially let all the toothpaste out of the tube, and now we're trying to get some back in, and that's just not how it goes.
Yeah.
I think it wouldn't have been a bad idea to maybe, one of the greatest brands in the world is the NFL. Maybe take some hints from the NFL and put some guardrails on this thing and, try to actually present it out in a professional manner instead of just saying, hey, guys, fight it out, do what you want. Here comes the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
But again, I think the coaches that last and the programs that win will do the best job of being able to understand the NIL game and maneuver within it, and also still maintain the culture within. Because this just as well as anybody, when you're a young man and you want to be great and you want to get to the NFL, culture still matters within the program. You still want to be somewhere, whether you're getting $1 million or $5. You want to be somewhere with a coach and staff that wants to develop you. Like here at Coastal Carolina, we still believe in developing student athletes. We still believe in putting together a fifth quarter program where tonight they're going to the program. We're bringing businesses in from around the community to show you how to be a lawyer, show you how to be a plumber, show you how to be, do freight, logistics, all those different types of things. Because football coaching to me is a calling. It's not a job. We're still put on this earth to make sure we're putting out quality human beings and that we're coaching them. Because, I know you guys don't know me very well, but the one thing I will never do is just be a yes man to our players. They deserve honest, truthful feedback so that they can grow too. They want to be challenged. They want those types of things. I think, unfortunately, coaches nowadays, oh, I shouldn't coach this guy too hard. Maybe he leaves. Hey, may the good Lord bless you on the way out. You don't belong here. So that's kind of my overall view. I know I went a little long on you there, but
No
that's kind of what I think.
Awesome. So that kind of leads me into my next question. Do you think it is harder to build a college football roster now, or is it harder to maintain a college football roster? And I know that you had just said, all these larger programs have, a boatload of money and sponsors and whatever, and they can obviously maintain programs better than others. But in your opinion, what do you think about that? Maintaining a roster or building one? Which one would you say is easier or harder?
Yeah, I think right now at the G6 level, it has to be really maintaining because, again, I just mentioned how hard we coach these guys and how much we develop them. Well, we can develop them and love them all we want. If they are making money that their whole entire family has never seen at one time, that they have to take that opportunity.
Yeah.
So it is very hard to maintain a roster after you've developed a good group of guys. But again, you've got to be able to say, okay, I believe that we're great recruiters. We've got good resources here at Coastal Carolina. Let's go build another one. You know what I mean? You can't just sit in the closet and get your blankie and cry. You got to stand back up, dust yourself off, and go hunt for some more. That's our motto because, and we've actually flipped it also in this way, and you might find this interesting. I talk about it openly to transfers and high school student athletes that my job is to make you your very best. If you bring me $1 million deal that you made because of we had success here at Coastal Carolina, I'm gonna hug you like you're my own son and tell you great job. Like rising tide lifts all ships. So we embrace the fact that our job is to have you get better while you're here, have you develop on and off the field, have you do these types of things to put you in a position to where you can make that kind of money. Who doesn't want that? Obviously it's a tough deal for the local fans and guys that don't feel like they can be as connected. But in my humble opinion, if you're hoisting trophies, the connection piece is okay. But I think everybody wants to win, right?
For sure. What were your thoughts on? I know we kind of touched on it briefly earlier. What were your thoughts on spring ball? How'd you like the team? How'd you like what you were seeing out there?
Yeah, I like spring ball. I like the competitive nature of our guys. And the one thing about the culture piece and kind of, how do you build it with all the transfers? I think you got to focus on that. Like one of our foundational pieces going into spring ball was to see if we could learn to play Chanticleer football. And when I say that, you're like, what does that even mean? Well, show toughness, show relentless effort, show the types of things that have nothing to do with scheme. We run NFL style schemes, so that will come. We were not perfect this spring in regards to scheme, but what we did do is we found a defense that would fly around and be tough and physical and aggressive, and we found an offense that could be explosive and manage the ball up and down the field. And to me, that is a win because we've learned that in order to be successful, you have to believe in each other, have each other's back, have real connection amongst the team, and understand that you play for both sides of the jersey. You play for the shunt on the front, and you also are representing your last name every single time you step on that football field. A goal of mine, and I played in my hometown, was to make sure everyone knew that the Beard name was yelled on that loudspeaker over and over and over and over.
That's awesome.
That is pretty awesome. But is there anything that you'd like to say to Chanticleer fans that they might not know, or the average football fan that just shows up to games, has a good time, and goes home, doesn't really dig in deep to statistics or records or anything like that? Is there anything that you'd want to say to them?
Yeah, definitely. I think right now I don't think there's ever really been a better time to come and be a part of something special right here at Coastal Carolina football. I think the foundation has been set from the top down and getting the resources have been applied here that we can bring a championship style football program and experience to the fans and everyone right here in Conway because the one thing that has been really successful is the game day promotions, having fun in the stadium. This is an all-around experience. Not only are you going to have fun in the stands now, but you're also going to have a high quality product on the field. We're going to have an offense that, get the ball to our playmakers. We got to feed the studs mentality. We're going to light the scoreboard up, and you're going to have a defense that is absolutely going to play with relentless effort and out hustle all day. So if you haven't come out and check out a game, please come out, support us. That it makes a huge difference. Everybody goes, how much of a difference does a crowd atmosphere make? It makes all the difference in the world. When the game gets tight in the fourth quarter and the boys look up and you've got a bunch of guys swinging their shirts and getting loud and throwing some cups in the air, whatever you want to do right here at Brooks Stadium, you do it to help the Chanticleers come out with a W.
Yeah, I know that's been a recent struggle with the fans. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I know me and Gus are, but it's those student fans that are leaving around halftime that we've experienced in the past. And hopefully, with that high electric, high scoring, relentless defense that you're going to bring, hopefully those students are going to stick around longer.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's hard to blame the students because we need to put a product out there that's worthy of them staying around on. And I hope that they hear my plea. And if we are good enough for them to watch and enjoy, stay for the whole game because you make a difference, you matter. And the one other thing I'll say to Teal Nation is that we are working relentlessly to bring you a winner. All right. So just understand no one's working harder than this coaching staff and these players. We're excited to be here.
That's pretty sick. So going off of actually what you said before, all the theatrics that Coastal has brought in the last few years because of Chance Miller and all his, creative ideas that he wants to bring to not only the football field but to the, fans in the stands. Is there any one thing you're looking forward to? I know last year we had brought on some different kind of jerseys that glow in the dark. Obviously the introductions during like beginning of football games, we bring out a bunch of motorcycles. We got fire going through the air. Is there any single thing that you're most looking forward to for the season?
Yeah, 100%. Ringing the victory bell.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I'm talking about.
So as long as after home games we keep that freaking string on the rope on the victory bell and we do our job and we win home games, that will absolutely be my favorite part.
That's pretty
That's
cool.
what I like
That's
to
a
hear.
great answer. I love that
Yeah.
answer. But to get to a little bit more about you, you've obviously have watched football probably your entire life, like me and Day have. Is there any NFL football team that you particularly watch more than others or have a fandom of?
Yeah, so it's interesting when you become a coach, you kind of follow players, not necessarily teams. You follow
Yeah.
players that you've coached. So obviously having coached Jair Alexander, whatever team he's on, Lamar Jackson, so Baltimore, um, guys like that are great. Now, Reed, and again, I mentioned on Mike McDonald, Zach Azani, I coached with, who's coaching now, and just a bunch of different guys that I follow with that. But regionally, I would say the Tennessee Titans are a team that I pull for simply because we've had tickets. My family has tickets there. We love going to Titans games. They're building a new stadium. I'm excited to see that. And then even going farther back than that, here's one for you boys. I know you guys are young. I don't even know if you were alive for this, but Terrell Davis, John Elway, the old Denver Broncos. So I still pull for the Broncos. The mile high salute. Let's go.
Of course. I watch Shannon Sharp's podcast with Chad Ochocinco almost every night. So they're
That's awesome.
they're always bringing up that team and their success that they had back in the day. But is there anybody in particular that you know is entering the draft this year that you're pulling for?
Well, I've got to say our quarterback, I don't know if he'll be drafted from last year from Missouri State, Jacob Clark. He deserves a chance to play on an NFL roster. He threw for 7,000 yards. He took a broke down program and made us a winner. He's the ultimate competitor, and he's a guy that when you sit there and you go, the good Lord made you to be a quarterback. When you're talking, great looking kid, got a fiance he loves dearly, can spin the football. He can make any NFL throw. He's capable of running when he needs to. He's elusive in the pocket. And he's a great human being. Like the love I have for Jacob Clark goes beyond words simply because everybody came to get him last year and they were going to pay him all this money and all this stuff. And he goes, Coach Beard, man, listen, you make me comfortable. Get it where it needs to be. I want to stay here with you guys. And the loyalty and trust that he showed myself and our staff, it just it goes beyond. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I'm telling you, whoever's watching this, hopefully everybody in the NFL is watching this. Take Jacob Clark as your quarterback. He will not let you down, and he is the premier guy. So, whatever that's worth. I don't think they're listening to me, but maybe.
I'm pulling for him now too, dude.
I'm
You got me
pulling for him.
fired up.
Absolutely.
I'm telling, hey guys, listen to me. He is like, I mean, he has it. And I mean, like prime example, we've got FIU absolutely had a better looking team than us. I mean, not even close. We were just beating them to death. It was a little cool in Missouri. They didn't like that. And Jacob Clark runs read zone to seal the game on like a 4th and 2. We say go for it and just end it. He pulls the ball, slides at the 4 yard line, and the stadium absolutely erupts. So he's a guy that you would love to pull for.
It kind of reminds me of, I know you have him on your staff now, Grayson McCall. I mean, that was me and Gus as our primetime quarterback that got us fired up every single Saturday at Brooks Stadium. The guy, he pissed Teal for the longest time, and then went to NC State. It bummed us that the concussion ended his career, eventually not going to the NFL, but happy to see him succeeding, hopefully succeeding in the coaching career path.
Yeah, the one thing I think you guys will be fired up about, he has real potential. Like when I ended up hiring him, I made sure he understood that, Grayson McCall, I don't really care about all the player stuff. I don't at all. I said I evaluated it you as a coach and the way you're intentional with your players, the way you try to build relationships, the way you care for this community and this campus and this program. You're a guy I want to build with. It has, and I think that was super refreshing for him because I do think he's ready to step into his own as a coach. Coach McCall, not just the crazy guy with the mullet that, everybody loved to cheer for. I think he genuinely wants to be as good of a coach as possible. And I think this is such a good start for him to do just that.
Definitely. Moving away from football, though, we want to get a little personal. We want to know you as Mr. Ryan Beard, not necessarily coach. What do you like to do outside of football? I know that basically consumes your whole entire life from when you wake up to when you go to bed. But when you have those small chances of doing something else, what do you like to do?
Yeah, this is such a South Carolina answer, but I'm a water guy. Water brings me peace. I like being on the water, whether it's the ocean, lakes, anything like that. We built a dock onto the house just because we wanted to go out there. I don't even have a boat, but we just wanted to be close enough to the water to find some peace because I don't have like a ton of hobbies. I love to fish, absolutely love it. My son, my daughter, all of them love to fish, but the biggest thing I do and where I find my peace and what I like to do is just anything where my family's at. And some parents they need all this time off and to go and like do parent stuff themselves without the kids. Hell with that, man. I created those little guys. I want them to be with me. I want to soak up all the little moments. And they love this football program. They love to come up here, and they're the typical coach's kids. Like when you guys come up and watch a practice, they're running around the sideline. They're having fun being around the players. And again, man, I think that personal side just gives us such an advantage because our players get to see that, and our players come out and hang out with us on the dock, and they get to see the backyard, and they're like, this is a different side of Coach Beard because he's got his shoes off, he's got no shirt on, he's got his grill towel over his shoulder. He just guys being dudes.
That's awesome.
What's your favorite thing to throw down on the grill? What's your
Listen,
go-to?
so here's what's interesting, okay, is that my players always they question, they're like, oh, you can't cook, whatever. So last cookout I had, did a bunch of chicken thighs, phenomenal. Really good on those. I'm a pork steak guy, love some pork shoulder. Absolutely, I mean, just divine. I can cook some steaks. Now, here's one for you. If I've got some time, I can make you a from scratch meat pasta sauce that will blow your mind. Bunch of diced veggies, zucchini, squash, onions, green peppers, bell peppers, all the good things. And then the sauce is important because you don't want to just, get the ones you get off the shelf. You got to actually make your sauce, let it boil a little bit, and it's chef's kiss.
Yes,
That's awesome.
that is awesome.
I
But
love to cook.
I know you had said before, once you got to the Conway area, you wanted to go out and experience some of the, restaurants and bars. Were there any in particular that you liked more than others, especially
Oh,
in the Conway area around, campus and stuff like that?
oh yeah, we'll start at breakfast. All right, Nanny Annie's is like heaven on earth. I think I'm saying it right. Is that right?
I
It's
don't
like
know where is that located?
so here I would get my phone out, but it's like it's mom and pop shop, Nanny. Yeah, right here, Nanny Annie's. It's on 1315 South Carolina 90 in Conway. Nanny Annie's. And it is like my type of place. You go in there, you've got the locals that are ready for a hard day of work. You've got the POW flags. There's like a candle burning with like the American flags and just the war memorials and stuff. I mean, like literally you can taste that the biscuits were made literally in the back by probably Nanny Annie herself. Uh, I mean, just incredible. And there's a bunch of good eating spots around downtown Conway, which have been cool. So I don't think I've found a place that I don't like, but yeah, that breakfast spot is killer.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Dave, did you have anything else you wanted to add in?
You said you went to Hackler a lot. Are you a golfer or no?
My wife's a great golfer. I mean, I play a little bit, but luckily for you guys and the rest of Teal Nation, if you're a super good golfer, you don't have a ton of time. to your actual real job and trying to win games. So I can honestly say I'm not a great golfer, but my wife is really good. So I go out there and how do I say this? I'm like her groupie. So I like have the drinks, have the music going,
There we go.
and she's just like hitting all these spots, and I'm back there. Great
Clap it
job.
up.
You
Clap
know,
it
you,
up.
you
There we
really
go.
crushed that. And the funniest part is all the guys are like, Ryan, how can you handle that? She's just kicking your butt around the course. I said, guys, I compete every Saturday to put food on my family's table. I can have a thing where I just like to be outside and hanging out. It's okay. And plus, she's my wife and she could kick their ass. So
Yeah.
that,
There we
that's
go.
where I
Damn
that's
right.
where I keep my solace at.
Damn right. That's pretty awesome. That is pretty awesome. A drink caddy, I think is what is preferred,
Okay.
the name of it. But yeah, that's awesome. But I don't have any more questions. Dave, do you have any more questions to ask Coach?
No, I do not.
So I believe that wraps it up for this episode of the Gus and Dave podcast. We want to thank Coach Beard once again for giving us some of his time and coming on the pod. But yeah, it's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Gus and Dave podcast. Thank you guys for watching, and we shall see you next week.
Shots up.
Shots up.